plants is different from transportation in animals. In the case of plants, the energy requirements are very less, as you know, because most of the tissues present in plant cells are dead tissues. Therefore, even if the transportation process is slow, it will work for the plants. The main substances that needs to be transported in the plants are water and minerals and food that is prepared by the process of photosynthesis. Now, plants obtain water and minerals from soil with the help of roots. How does this work? As you have studied in class 9th, in plants they have specialized tissues called as vascular tissues. Vascular tissues are made up of xylem and phloem. Phloem is known as the food conducting tissue, whereas xylem is called as the water conducting tissue. In xylem we have tracheids and vessels, which are mainly responsible for transportation of water and minerals, whereas in the case of phloem we have sieve tubes and companion cells. In the case of transportation of water and minerals, in the soil the concentration of minerals is high as compared to the cells. Therefore, these minerals will be simply transported from the soil into the root cells. Now, when these minerals enter into the cells, there is a concentration gradient that is created. What is that? Inside the cell, there is a hypertonic condition, meaning minerals are more, water is less. Whereas in the outside environment, comparatively, minerals are less and water is high. Therefore, water moves from a region of higher concentration, that is from the soil, into the root cells, and the minerals are then mixed with the water. Main thing to note here is that this process does not require any energy in the form of ATP. It is purely dependent on the concentration gradient. Once the water enters into the xylem, that is into the tracheids and vessels, these vessels, they form a continuous tubular network. Each vessel is connected to another vessel, which forms a long tube-like structure. These vessels are connecting the roots to all the leaves and the stem, from where water can be transported to different parts. What is the problem here? Now, if the plant is small, then the pressure that is generated by the entry of water from the soil into the cell is enough to transport water. But in the case of tall trees, this mere root pressure is not enough for transportation to such long distances. For example, in sequoia trees, which can be as tall as 60 meters. So pressure is not enough to transport water from the roots to the top. So herein comes the help of another factor, that is transpiration. So the entry of water from the soil into the roots is due to root pressure, and it can travel a little distance. But to transport water to higher parts of the plant, we require a phenomenon called as transpiration. Transpiration, as you already know, is nothing but the loss of excess water from where? From the leaves. From leaves. So, as you know, leaves have structures called as stomata. If the water concentration is extra in the leaf, the stomata will open and this water is released out. This is what is called as transpiration. Now, when this water is released out, this transpiration, it creates a what is called as a suction. So, when water is lost, there is a suctional pull that is created. This suctional pull will be connected and carried throughout the vessels. The vessels, because of this transpirational pull, water can then be pulled up to higher parts from the roots into the leaves. Therefore, transpiration plays an important role in movement of water from roots to the leaves. Not only that, transpiration is required for maintaining the temperature of the leaves. When water is lost, it creates a cooling effect. Transpiration takes place to the stomata. Minerals are dissolved in the water, so when water is taken to different parts of the plant, along with it the minerals are also transported. The second important raw material that needs to be transported is the food. Food is prepared in the leaf and it is stored as sucrose. During the process of photosynthesis, plants produce glucose. This glucose is converted into sucrose. So this sucrose is the food that now needs to be transported from the leaf to different parts such as stem, other leaves, roots, etc. Phloem also contains hollow tubular structures called as sieve tubes and companion cells through which food is transported. The only difference between xylem transport and phloem transport is that phloem transport, it needs energy in the form of ATP. Energy is required for the transportation of food. We call it as translocation. Movement of food from the leaves to different parts of the body is called translocation. It requires energy. How exactly does this take place? This could be a question. So what happens is, let us assume that this is our sieve tube. Sieve tube, and the sucrose is now pumped into the sieve tube using energy. ATP, sucrose is put into the sieve tube. So, besides the sieve tube, we have the xylem also. Both are present together. This is your phloem. This is your xylem vessels. When the sugar concentration increases here, what happens? Water concentration will decrease. Whereas on the other hand, in the xylem, water concentration is more, sugar concentration is less. We know that water will always move from higher concentration to lower concentration. So, as sucrose is dumped into the sieve tubes, water will enter into the sieve tubes. Along with the water, this sucrose is mixed and it is then transported to the other parts such as roots or stems. Another important thing, another difference between xylem transport and phloem transport is, phloem transport is bidirectional. In the case of xylem, water is always transported from roots to the upper parts, that is leaf. In the case of phloem, food can be transported from the leaf to the root, or reverse from the root to the leaf. When? Because we know roots, fruits, seeds, these are the organs that store the food. For example, potato, sweet potato, carrot, radish. These are all organs that store the food. When food is required by other parts of the plant, this food needs to be transported from the root, maybe back to the leaf or other parts. Therefore, food is transported both in the lower direction and also in the upper direction, which is what is called as bidirectional transportation. So, this is how transportation of substances takes place in plants with the help of xylem and phloem. Xylem transports water and minerals with the help of root pressure and transpirational pull. It does not require energy. Phloem transports food from the leaf to different parts with the help of energy. This food can be transported in both the directions.